So I've known for years, 4 years, and been telling the Florida man for 3 to 4 years how terrible Emory Jones was gonna be, and currently is. And of course, none of them wanted to hear it. The idiots drunk off the Mullinade thought Emory Jones was winning Heisman's and SEC titles and national titles and all that. Of course, now they know how terrible he is. So the season ends for Florida. A horrific season, by the way. The regular season I'm talking about, back Thanksgiving weekend. Their season comes to a close. Mullen, at that point, already fired. Billy Napier is hired as head coach at Florida. And right on cue, Emory Jones transferring, right? That's all we heard. Well, Emory Jones transferring. He's going to play in the bowl game because he's just such a great guy. And he's a transfer after the bowl game. So you had a couple of weeks there between the end of the season, and then Napier was hired, and you had a couple of weeks leading up to the bowl game against Central Florida. Bowl game comes around 2 weeks ago today. 2 weeks ago today was that bowl game, and not only did Florida lose, Emory Jones was absolutely horrific in that game. Might have been one of his worst games. I take that back. He didn't throw any interceptions. And for Emory Jones, that is a not minor, but major miracle. He didn't throw any interceptions. But I've got some copious notes here because I wanted to make sure I got this right. I had to look this up twice, too. I was like, no way. Yes way. Emory Jones in the friggin' Gasparilla Bowl against one of the worst Central Florida teams we've seen in 5 or 6 years, under the tutelage of one Gus Malzahn, formerly of the Auburn Tigers. Emory Jones in the Gasparilla Bowl against Central Florida in a humiliating loss for the Gators. Emory Jones was 14 of 36. 14 of 36. That's a 38% completion percentage. Only 171 yards. And I told you, no interceptions, which was not a minor, but a major miracle. Well, it wasn't a miracle. Also, no touchdowns for our boy Emory Jones. So absolutely horrible in the bowl game. Now, that was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Now, again, leading up to that game, Emory Jones was going to enter the transfer portal after the bowl game. And you know which team it was that was suspected to have the most interest in one Emory Jones? That's right, you guessed it. Central Florida. Emory Jones played so bad in that game that apparently not only does Central Florida no longer want him, nobody wants him. He's not in the portal. In fact, he's enrolled in classes at Florida still for the spring semester, the current semester, and it was reported yesterday that he's still attending team meetings at Florida. So the guy wants to transfer. He says, but I'm going to play in the bowl game, which was basically an audition. He wanted to play in the bowl game to try to show teams, hey, bring me in. I have something I can provide. No, you don't, and you didn't, and you won't, and you ain't, and you never will. He goes out. He's so bad in the bowl game that now nobody wants him, so he can't transfer. So, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, I do know he's going to stay at Florida. Will he play next year? I don't know. He's the most experienced QB on the roster. You still have Simone Biles, a.k.a. Anthony Richardson, down there, too. But you think, well, they're going to recruit. What recruits? What recruits? They don't have anybody waiting down there. Florida currently has the worst recruiting class in the SEC for this recruiting cycle. Dead last in the SEC, 14 out of 14. Behind Vandy. Behind South Carolina, Tennessee, you name it, they're behind them. Florida dead last in recruiting for 2022. Florida's dead for a couple of years, at least. I hope the Florida fans are patient, because if you really like Billy Napier, whatever his name is, I don't know, or care, if you really like him, you're going to have to give him several years, because there's not a whole lot of talent on the team now, and he's not bringing any in 2022. Dead last in recruiting in the SEC. 50th nationally. 50th. Listen, here's some teams that have a better recruiting class than Florida for 2022. Oregon State, Colorado, Illinois, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has won 3 games 3 years in a row. They're out recruiting Florida? What is happening here? Maryland, Rutgers, Cincinnati, and yep, Central Florida. All better recruiting classes in 2022 than the Billy Napier-led Florida Gators. And you're saying, oh, how you going to say there's no talent on the team, Lou? There is talent on the team. No, there's not. And you're the one that has told me that. You guys, the main reason Mullen is no longer employed by the University of Florida is what? Can't recruit. Can't recruit. Again, something I told you the moment you hired him. I was an idiot and I was wrong. But now the Florida fans have spent the whole last year crying about what? Dan Mullen's recruiting, or lack thereof. The main reason Dan Mullen is out of a job is because he was not bringing the talent into Gainesville, period. So you can't spend a whole year telling me you want your own coach fired because he's not recruiting. Then when he gets fired, tell me, oh, we got plenty of talent on the team. No, you don't. There's little to none talent on Florida's team. And that's what I'm saying. It's not going to be pretty the next couple of years for the University of Florida. So you got a couple of choices. You're going to have to stay with Napier and roll the dice for 3 or 4 years and suffer some bad seasons and stick with him. Or you can go to Tennessee route, which really you're on now, where you're firing coaches every 3 years. How long you had McElwain? What was he there? 3 years? Muschamp, 3 years. Dan Mullen, 3 year. You're firing coaches every 3. I mean, there hasn't been a coach at Florida who has seen a recruiting class go from freshmen to seniors in like 12 years. That's sad. Sad. And it's not getting any better anytime soon. Emory Jones is so bad, no one wants him. Imagine how bad of a QB you have to be to where your only possible destination is Florida. Think about it.